Let's start by unboxing this. We have a meter bezel, and then we have the shunt, and then we have the actual meter, and then this is the cable that interconnect the meter to the shunt, and then we have power leads. The meter is really nice because it's not very deep, so it'll fit in small spaces. And then you've got the option of adding this little trim bezel around it if you want to. The shunt is a device that measures the flow of current, and how this works is battery negative cable connects here, and then everything else, all of your loads and charging sources connect to this side. And your positive power leads connect right there, and then your cable that interconnect the shunt to the meter connects right there into a jack that looks like a telephone style jack. Pretty extensive owner's manual. It's really thick because it's in multiple languages, and here's a quick installation guide. These are actually both positive cables. The meter is set up where it can monitor 2 battery banks. That's why there's 2 positive cables. This diagram here shows that the meter can monitor battery voltage from 2 different battery banks. Battery 1 connects here and battery 2 connects there. So all of the meter can do is actually just monitor voltage. It can't monitor current from 2 battery banks. And here's the battery compartment in my RV, and I need to get some tools back in there, and that big orange cable, that's my positive cable. I need to disconnect that and then pull it up through that hole that you see on the left right above that other flashlight, and then pull it up through there. It's tucked in there behind the inverter. I basically need to just disconnect that for safety purposes, and then also to get it out of my way where I can work back there behind the inverter to get access to the shunt. So looking inside of the RV, what I'm doing is actually going to replace an existing amp hour meter that I've had in here for 10 years. And then I've also had this amp hour meter in my previous RV, which was a Desert Fox toy hauler. You push a button there and then the display lights up. So right now it shows minus 0.7 amps. Amp hours minus 0.4. Time remaining. And then that's my battery voltage. And the way I have this meter mounted is I took off the original cabinet door, replaced it with a new piece of wood, and then cut a bunch of holes in it. And then all of my wiring goes back up above the divider wall on this cabinet. This divider wall separates this cabinet from the cabinet under the sink. And the wire follows a big wiring bundle across the top, behind the sink, across the sidewall, and then it drops down and then disappears behind the oven, and then it goes through this wall right here into the cabinet where the inverter is mounted. It's definitely kind of tricky working in there because I can't see what I'm doing. I'll throw a picture up on the screen here that shows what I'm dealing with back there as far as disconnecting everything from the shunt and then trying to unbolt the shunt from the platform which the inverter sits on, which is essentially the top of the battery box. I have all my wiring routed, so now we'll go ahead and disconnect and remove the link 10. This little lock ring twists in place on some teeth, and then it slides off once we disengage it from the teeth after twisting it. The one thing that I'm going to really miss about that Link 10 is being able to see it from a distance. The numbers on it were really big, and because they were LED instead of LCD, they were really easy to see. when you first apply power to the meter, it goes into its setup mode and it starts out asking for the battery capacity. So I'll push this. Actually, no, we'll push the select button. And I've already set that to 210 amp hours, which is my battery capacity. So if we hit the select button, it scrolls through all the different numbers. The default setting is 200 amp hours. And once we're done setting everything, then we can hit the setup button again. And then it goes back to normal operation. And now we're ready to use it. This is time remaining 69.1 hours estimated at the current load. Battery capacity is at 99.9%. We've used 0.4 amp hours. 28 watts is our current draw, or 2.27 amps. I plugged the RV back into shore power and now we're charging the battery, so 7.8 amps is going in. Battery voltage is 14.4 and still at 99.9% and minus 0.4 amp hours.